Sometimes the dataset you're working with doesn't group the files that you want to open together in VolView under the same location in the folder hierarchy. Let me show you this dataset I'm working with here. I've got all the images in my dataset under this all images directory, and then all the CT images in the dataset are under this top level CT images. PET images are under this other directory. And this makes it hard to open, say, all the images associated with Joe together at once in VolView, right? We can just drill down and see we're just looking at one CT image associated with VolView, or associated with Joe, but we really want to see his PET image and his CT image at the same time, right? So the way that we do that is that we use a configuration file, this large image config.yaml file. And it'll let us group images that are in a folder structure based on their metadata. When we import the image, if it's a DICOM image, we extract all the DICOM tags. And what we'll do is we'll group all the images with the same patient name under this patient name key. And then when we click on a patient's name, it'll take us to all the studies that have the same study instance UID, or that have different study instance UIDs. And so then when we click on a study, it'll go ahead and open all the files that have the same study ID in VolView. And because the CT and the PET images have the same study ID, that'll be how we'll see them together in VolView. So I'm going to go and demo this by uploading a YAML that I have created here, which basically keys off we see here this configuration YAML file. It has two views. We've got one grouping off the patient ID and then one grouping off the study instance ID. And I need to save it so it's the right name here. Just need to name it to be just .large image here. Save that. Now when I go back to all images, here we've got the groupings applied. So we've got two patients in this data set. Here's the two patient IDs. I'll go ahead and click on this guy. There's one study under this patient, and we see that there's two series associated with this in this study. That's the CT and the PET series. And when I click on it, we open up VolView and we see we automatically load those two series together, even though they existed in different places in the dataset folder hierarchy. So we've changed the grouping of the files that we want to open in VolView with. So let's take a look at how that works over here at the patient level. So we'll take a look at that config file again. And here in this YAML file section, we've got these two item lists. We've got this patient list, and that tells us how to group the files that are under this directory, under this folder. It says group all the files with the same patient ID. And then there's this key navigate section. When I click on a patient, then take me to the study list. And that study list is defined down here. Here's our study list. And here we're grouping based on the DICOM study instance UID. And then when you click on a study in this study list view, instead of navigating to another item list, like saying just showing all the series, we want to go ahead and open it with VolView. So that'll open all files that have that study instance UID.